guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nay. If you're new, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Happy Wednesday. So today's video is going to be all about the power of your thoughts. I really struggle with trying to figure out where thoughts even come from. We have so many thoughts throughout our day. It's a huge part of who we are. Your thoughts are so much more powerful than many people even know. So the fact that we can control our thoughts and somewhat shape our reality is a really interesting topic to me. So I thought I'd do a video kind of showing you guys how and why thoughts are super powerful. So a lot of the topics I'm about to discuss here come from Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. I read that book kind of a while ago. I will leave it linked down below if you guys want to get it, but his concepts and his ideas of how powerful thoughts are is what kind of inspired me to make this video. I'm gonna go through kind of like what I gained and how thoughts are stimulated and what they do to create your reality. So first, a situation happens. You get a physical response from that situation through a feeling, and then you have a thought about that feeling, which then correlates over to an emotion, and then your emotions create your beliefs, which create your behavior, which then in turn creates your reality. So it's kind of like an assembly line. So the situation and the feeling part are uncontrollable. They are things that happen, your body responds to it, and they are true. When it comes to your thoughts and further down the line, that's when you can gain control of your situation, creating the reality that you want. So let's go ahead and jump into the feeling aspect. When a situation happens and a feeling happens, that feeling is the true response of how you react to the situation. It's your physical body's reaction to that situation. For example, if you're feeling overweight, a situation happens, you move or something and your shorts or pants feel super tight and you feel constricted and you're like, uncomfortable. That's the feeling part of it. Then you think, oh my God, I'm so fat. And then it turns into an emotion and you feel kind of depressed or upset about your weight. Another example could be if somebody pushes you and you feel that initial jolt and kind of like adrenaline rush, then you have a thought about it like, oh my God, I can't believe that person just pushed me. And then your emotion is like super upset and feel hurt by that person pushing you. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they pushed me. So your emotion is a temporary response to your thought process. So if you can gain control of your thoughts, you can totally change your reaction and your emotion to it. Because a lot of the times our emotions about the situation aren't even true. We kind of just personalize it and categorize it as if it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing. Based on your past, your culture, we personalize the experience and create the emotion for it. They're not present and it's some narrative that you've made in your mind based on your thought. So when we think about something, it's super powerful because not only do we think thoughts throughout the day, we always have thoughts. We don't think, okay, now it's time to think. They just happen. So when we learn to gain control over that thought is when we can change our emotion and thus change our reality. We also have super repetitive thoughts. If something's bothering us, we tend to repeat it over and over, just kind of strengthening that core initial emotion. So one of the examples that I read in Eckhart Tolle's book was the example of a duck with a human mind. I want to read it to you guys because it's super powerful and it kind of puts things in perspective as to when we identify with our thoughts and how strong and powerful a thought can be in relation to like our life. So he says, when two ducks get into a fight, it never lasts long. They soon separate, fly off in opposite directions. Each duck then flaps its wings vigorously several times. This releases the surplus energy that's built up in him during the fight. After they flap their wings, they fly on peacefully as if nothing has ever happened. Now, if the duck had a human mind, this scene would be very different. The duck may fly away peacefully for a moment, but he would not put the fight behind him. He would keep the fight alive in his mind by thinking and story making. The duck's story would probably go something like this. I can't believe what he just did. He came within 5 inches of me. He has no consideration for my private space. He thinks he owns the pond. I'll never trust him again. I know he's already plotting something else to annoy me with, but I'm not going to stand for it. I'm going to teach him a lesson he will never forget. And in this way, the duck's mind spins its tail, still thinking and talking about it days, months, or even years later. He may never see his adversary again, but that doesn't matter. The single incident has left its impression and now has a life of its own deep within the duck's mind. As far as his body is concerned, the fight is still continuing, and the energy his body generates in response to the imaginary fight is emotion, which in turn generates more thinking. This becomes the emotional thinking of the ego. The emotions feed the story, and the story feeds the emotions. Endlessly. Unless the duck chooses to recognize that the fight is over, unless he drops the story, he will suffer the endless cycle of his mind's creation. You can see how painful and troublesome the duck's life would become if he had a human mind. But this is how most of us live all the time. For the average person, no situation or event is ever really over and done with. The mind and the mind-making story keeps going. Unlike the duck, we are a species that has the power to remember, which is both wonderful and problematic. Our duck has an important lesson to teach us. Flap your wings, which means let go of the story, and live your life here and now in the present moment. It's a really powerful story, and it really spoke to me on a deep level. Whenever I create this narrative in my head, I now notice it and I'm like, stop. Like, none of this is happening right now. Like, sit down, that's in the past. What are you doing? You're creating and taking the past and putting it in the present moment and like creating just a really negative situation, and you're not even in that situation anymore. We kind of create this false narrative of a personalized story, and it creates a negative aspect in life if you think in a negative way. We all come up with this creative narrative, personalized story in our minds that take us away from truly being present. And when we become present, we can then shift our emotions over into calm and serenity and positive vibes rather than creating lack and stress and anger in the present moment. So something you can do when you do catch yourself thinking a repetitive thought, or you just feel uncomfortable and you just know something's in your mind and you want to analyze your thoughts a little bit deeper, you can ask yourself, is it present? Is it happening right now? Does any of the situation that you're talking about in your mind, is it happening here and now? If it's not, simply let it go. So the second thing is, are you identifying with it? Are you personalizing it? Are you creating this sort of identification with your thoughts? Are you saying me, mine, I? If you are, disidentify from your thoughts and realize that your thoughts are just a flow in your mind and you are not your thoughts, you are simply having thoughts. So the third thing is, can you shift the thought? When you tend to focus on something repetitive, if it's not doing you any justice now, if you can't really do anything about it and you're just sitting there creating this narrative in your mind and it's becoming kind of worrisome here in the present moment, shift it over to the present moment. Take a look at your surroundings. Go through all 5 of your senses and name things that you can hear, touch, taste, see, hear right now, and you can really shift your mind over into the present moment and become still, and your mind isn't just rambling up this like false reality in your mind. Our emotions are what kind of identifies our thoughts. So like, if we ever have a thought and we identify with it, we create based on our past, based on our culture, based on the way that we were taught when we were kids, we create this emotion that identifies with these thoughts, and in turn we define it as good or bad. Instead of seeing life as a flow and it just happens, we kind of take it almost as like a blame or something against us. Your emotion is the reaction to your thought. So when you shift over your thoughts, you can create a better reaction and a better emotion. So then when you have these emotions, you believe your emotions, which then in turn creates behavior towards your emotions, creating your reality. So for example, if you did get pushed by someone, the feeling is getting kind of adrenaline rush and you're like, oh my gosh, someone just pushed me, and you associate a personalized identification with it and create an emotion on it. He can't push me, I can't believe he just pushed me. And then you get upset and angry, you believe that that person pushed you for a specific reason, and your behavior towards that person is going to react in a really negative, strong way, and in turn creating a really bad experience here in the moment. When your behavior becomes more positive, when you learn to gain control over your thoughts, disidentify from them, let them go, and not create this false reality in your mind, you can create a better emotion, creating better beliefs, creating better behavior, and in turn you give out more positive vibration, which then reflects back onto you. Like attracts like, what you give, you receive. When you are happy and you are in control of your thoughts, it reflects in a positive manner because you have more self-awareness and more self-discipline, and you can actually behave in a manner that you want to receive in life. So when you do gain control and you do think positively and you have better emotions, you will be better to other people, thus they will be better to you. You know, if you're ever having a negative emotion, it's super hard to sit there and be positive towards somebody or be happy for somebody and create positive energy. You're just in a grumpy mood because it all stemmed from your thoughts that you weren't in control of, which created a negative emotion. So when you do gain control, you can shift that over, you get a better response with emotion, and thus you have better situations in life. So I just thought this would be a fun video to film. I know it was super all over the place. This is like the one video that I didn't really have mapped and planned out. It was just my thoughts based on the book that I read. The book was super life-changing. I really recommend it for you guys. Again, if you guys want to get it, I'll link it down below. This is not sponsored. It is just 100% one of the best books I've ever read. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this Manifestation Wednesday video and have a good rest of your Wednesday. Definitely give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you guys all in a future video. Bye guys.